Greetings, patients, and welcome to another episode of the Doc Docs. Do you know what time it is? It's time to rock with me, your newest host, Doc Rock. Now let me ask you a question. If you had to give up one of your five senses, sight, sound, touch, taste, and smell, which one would you choose?
Well, personally, I would love to not have to smell my friend's nasty body odor all the time.
That may be true, but it's a minor inconvenience compared to what you'd be giving up. You actually wouldn't be able to taste almost anything without your ability to smell, because according to scientists, 80% of the flavors we taste come from what we smell. I mean, haven't you ever noticed that when you have a stuffy nose, your food tastes different? You see, the perception of flavor actually exists because it combines the information from your taste buds and your olfactory tract, which is located on the roof of your nasal cavity. So I wouldn't be so quick to give up this sense. I'm confident that you'll come away from this episode with a greater appreciation for smell. Unless, of course, you're some sort of fragrance expert, in which case, you already know what I'm talking about. Speaking of such experts, let me introduce you to our friend and phenomenal smeller and costume perfumer, Sarah Horowitz, to learn more.
I'm Sarah Horowitz-Thran, and I'm a perfumer and a business owner. I've been creating fragrances for over 25 years. I've been in business here in California since 1994, and my specialty, as well as my passion, is creating custom fragrances. We have hundreds of materials to choose from, and we go through a process that is very unique. It is emotional, it is spiritual, it can be about your childhood through today, what fragrances you've worn, what you've hated, everything that creates you for who you are and how you resonate within yourself. We take all of that into account while we pull materials to create a fragrance for you. Fragrance, I feel, can serve many purposes. Ultimately and ideally, you want to smell good. It's the first thing people experience when they meet you. Obviously they see you, they can hear you, but your scent will remain with them. And whenever they smell it again, even if you're not there, if they smell maybe a piece of your clothes or something that reminds them, they'll think of you.
Have you ever realized that a particular scent can trigger a certain emotion from a past memory? Like how the smell of ashes reminds me of my mother when I was a young igneous pebble. Erupted and then of course solidified from her magma.
Fragrance triggers both memory and emotion. All your other physical senses, sight, sound, taste, and touch, have a split-second delay because they process through the neocortex before they hit the limbic system. So what that basically means is there's a split second of thought before you emotionally react, right? But the limbic system holds your emotions. So when you smell something, the olfactive nerve bypasses the thinking brain and goes directly to that emotional center. So when people are triggered, they can't think like, oh, I should like this, or oh, I shouldn't like this. It's just like, oh, I love that, or oh, I hate it. Like, doesn't matter how nice a personality someone has, if you don't like how they smell, it's not gonna work.
Smell is also a powerful tool that we utilize, which can alert us to various dangers such as nearby fires, gas leaks, and even rotten food that can make us sick. And it does this by sending pain signals to our brains.
When I started, my teacher would have me close my eyes. He'd put 5 things in front of me and I'd have to pick out and identify what each of them were. So now I have to be able to identify, and oftentimes perfumers can catalog scents in their head, so you can even write formulas without materials in front of you because you know how they're going to work. So a lot of it is training because I have such a focus on my sense of smell when I'm out in the world. It's a blessing and a curse. But once actually I was at a friend's house and we were just hanging out and I was like, I smell a fire. She's like, there's no fire. I was like, no, I smell a fire. And there was a fire. We called and there was a fire, but it was like miles away. It sounds so cliche, but like stop and smell the roses. Like while you're walking, if there's flowers blooming, smell them, see how they are different from each other. Just be more conscious and aware of fragrances in the world.
We decided to go out into the wilderness to make an all-natural perfume, the Rock way. Let's see if we can find any ingredients that speak to my nature. Get it? Nature? 'Cause it's my behavior, my natural way, and we're going into the nature. You get it? The vast expanse of nature. She calls to me. I take a moment to gather myself. Hear the howl of the wind. Feel the warmth of the sun. And of course, smell the elements that surround me. I am ready. The materials I seek, I do not yet know, but they will come to me when the time is right, one by one. It is still early, but where do I begin? Daylight will fade. I must establish a deeper connection to find the way. I know what I must do.
I truly believed that there is a spiritual aspect to fragrance if you put your intention to it. How better to create your reality if you are connected in the moment to who you are. I have people sit, close their eyes, visualize who they are, think about what resonates for them, and pull materials, and I have them smell with their eyes closed while they're in that space. So oftentimes they might think, oh, I love gardenia, but when their eyes are closed and they smell it, they might have a reaction to it. They might have thought they liked it because their best friend wore it and they thought their best friend was really cool, but in fact, they resonate to vanilla, right? So when I create a fragrance, it's a holistic expression of that customer.
At last, I have come to my first ingredient, a bud, representing new life. The ability to turn back the clock and exude a youthful energy.
In the summertime, you do see people use more of the citrusy fragrances, maybe hints of coconut or oceanic notes, things that remind you more of the beach. A little more lighter florals in springtime. In the winter, or like your date night too can go this way. You'll have the richer materials like vanillas, ambers, sandalwood, even hints of patchouli or cinnamon, clove. So materials play a part, but it always comes back to the individual.
The trek is long, but it fills me with purpose. Not every path leads to success. Frustration will come, but there is no use in getting angry. Time and energy will just be wasted. If you just believe and trust in your surroundings, you will find what you are looking for.
The natural versus synthetic conversation is something that's very prominent right now. The synthetics can be like a single molecule, whereas if you look at the essential oil of rose or jasmine, it's got hundreds and hundreds of molecules to create that essential oil, which is incredible, and also can be problematic if people have allergies to any or all of them. Synthetic compounds, fragrance oil compounds, come from big fragrance houses, and I work with many different fragrance houses that develop some proprietary materials for me, some that they make as their, amber, patchouli, vanilla. I order that. Some of them I have made for me, but literally chemists make these, and a perfumer designs them. Now, the naturals come from the natural world. Let's say it's citruses, they literally can get that from cold press, meaning like pressing the essential oil from the fruit, the rind. If you've ever touched an orange or a grapefruit or a lemon and you smell your hands, you would literally have the essential oils on your hands. Rose, jasmine, that can be done through solvent extraction or steam extraction, where they boil water and the essential oil separates from the petal on the steam and goes to the top, just like an alcohol still in a way. And when it cools, and the oil's a different weight than the water, and they separate.
The terrain is rough, and the wind is strong. But I hold my ground. The second ingredient. A lush plant grown on the top of a mountain. A symbol of prosperity and strength, withstanding the brutal environment.
One of the materials that I'm actually known for is I have an amazing gardenia oil. And gardenia, the flower, does not yield an essential oil. It's very fragrant on the bush, but it doesn't actually yield an essential oil. I call it the kamikaze flower because it destroys itself before it will allow you to extract its oil. So for me, it was very important to create a gardenia that smelled natural, which takes some work, and I got this gardenia plant, and I mixed different materials. Anyway, that's to lead you into the story. I had a client whom I was creating a fragrance for, and I pulled the gardenia for her because she had mentioned that gardenias were one of her favorite flowers, and she started crying. And I asked her, I said, "Are you okay?" And she told me that when she was a little girl, her mother and her father would go out on a date every Saturday night. And he would always bring her a gardenia, and she'd wear it in her hair. And when she'd come back, the mother would kiss her daughter goodnight and put it in a bowl by her bedside. And her mother had passed away. And when she smelled the gardenia, it brought this back to her. And to this day, it's one of the most powerful memories I have because it was so powerful a memory for her that it's my memory now. And so it really stayed with me. This is years ago, about how important it is to have fragrance that connects with you because it brought a bit of her mother back to her.
I gaze towards the horizon, standing upon the graves of my ancestors. I know I am close. I can feel it in my rock. Below, I hear a voice say, and I instantly know where to go. Could this be another? No, too vile. I wouldn't wish that on my worst enemy. Pure evil. But with evil, there is always good. With yin, there is always yang. And it seems I have found my yang. But I must pray, for it is not without sacrifice that I may progress towards my ultimate fragrance.
Historically, there have been certain materials that have been used for, let's say, the one we all like to talk about, which is love, right? Like the aphrodisiac materials. So like rose is the fragrance of love, you know, so people have that kind of romantic feeling about it. But there's also science now, like they've done studies where they actually have people with the monitors and the heart rate and they pass different fragrances to your nose. And they did one famous study years ago that men that got their blood rushing, let's just say, the most was donuts and lavender. There's places in Japan where they pump different fragrances into their offices during the day because citruses are stimulating and they make your brain feel more awake. And then you could have something like lavender or sandalwood, which is calming and soothing, and then something like patchouli or vanilla, which gets you, more excited again.
A symbol of ruggedness. Treasure on the inside that is protected by a painful exterior. Intelligent, sustainable, and in my eyes, beautiful. The only way I can prove my worthiness of its treasure is to endure it myself.
A perfumer works in notes, and just like in music, you talk about music in notes. So a perfumer talks about top notes, middle notes, and base notes, and all of your ingredients are your notes. The technical definition of a material, how it falls into a top note, middle note, or base note, is actually its boiling point. So everything is about body heat and your body chemistry. Essentially, your body chemistry is the final ingredients into any fragrance. So when your fragrance hits your skin, that's when its life starts, right? So the materials with the lowest boiling point, meaning they burn off the fastest, those are top notes. Generally, top notes consist of citruses and fruits, things that have a very low boiling point, which means they burn off quickly. So when you smell a fragrance, it might come up really strong and then it changes. The top notes pop up and then they dissipate.
A lush berry, symbolizing sustenance, the final ingredient to complete my potion. A small energy ball dense enough to power 1,000 suns, but I mustn't dwell on its power. I must trudge along to the mixing site before the day comes to an end.
Then the middle note is also known as the heart, soul, or bouquet of a fragrance. So given that it's called a bouquet, you know that's where you find your florals. They last longer than a top note, not as long as a base note. The base note is the foundation of the fragrance, and to me that's like the drums and percussion if we're talking about like a music analogy. It's the rhythm of your scent. And so that's where you find things like patchouli, amber, sandalwood, musk, vanilla, all of those are the base notes, and they anchor the fragrance to your skin.
As my journey nears its conclusion, I feel an overwhelming sense of joy bubbling up through my cracks. My mission was a success. But wait, I'm not out of the woods just yet. I still need to mix. And to mix, I require my steth-o-stone, which seems to have vanished, and now I would not be able to extract the juices from my ingredients. Where could it have gone? I must retrace my steps. Steth-o-stone, where have you gone? Oh, steth-o-stone, won't you come home? Well, patience, it wasn't easy, but after a long, rigorous journey, I finally obtained all the necessary ingredients in which to create the most incredible scent you'll ever smell in your life. And I've got it right here. In fact, I'm so confident in this fragrance that I will get the opinion of a completely objective, unbiased, third-party candidate like you, sir. Stranger I've never met, will you please take a whiff of this and tell me what you think? There you go, just let it sit for a few seconds, and it'll sink in. As you can see, really... Wait, what do you mean you don't? I thought we had an agreement.
If you don't love fragrance, I am never a proponent of saying you need to wear fragrance and you need to wear strong fragrance. But I would definitely say find something that's subtle that you can experiment with, because it starts with you. It should be about you. You have to love it. But it's not just about you. It's about the people around you. And so it may make more of an impression than you think. Where'd you grow up?
Well, Sarah, I grew up in a big volcano, but then we quickly moved to an island, and after that, a desert, and then a jungle. And now I'm here in the coastal region.
And where'd you like to go?
Well, there are a lot of great explorational possibilities on the West Coast.
Especially here in California, there's so much out in the world. There's so many different smells. The rosemary, the sage, eucalyptus, orange blossoms. It's pretty fragrant.
Yes, very fragrant indeed.
If I were to ask you if you were attracted to things that were more warm and rich or more clean and sharp, what would you say?
I'm gonna have to say warm and rich like the sun.
And do you have any favorite citruses that you're aware of, like lemon, lime, bergamot?
Yes, tangerine is my absolute favorite.
I'm gonna pull a few things for you. So what I'm gonna do now is separate everything into their notes. We talked about it earlier. So we're gonna start in the base note, which is the deepest part of the fragrance.
Okay.
And here we have sweet tobacco. This is leather. So it's a warm leather. It's very...
Smells like my boots.
Do you have a preference between those two?
Definitely the sweet tobacco.
These are two different vanillas, number 1 or number 2. Ready? Number 1, number 2.
Yeah, number 2.
Okay, excellent. And last set, number 1. It's strong.
Yeah.
And then, this is much more subtle, just warning you. Number 2.
Oh yes, I think that one.
Number 2. Now I'm gonna write down the formula.
Okay.
And your fragrance has notes of bergamot and tangerine in the top note.
Of course, of course.
It's got a beautiful, fresh musk accord as the primary middle note.
Oh, I love my deer.
And then you have sweet tobacco, classic, very sheer sandalwood, essential vanilla. So that's actually a natural vanilla. It's a little bit rich. It's not too sweet.
Yes, not too sweet.
And that sacred resin that you love. That's the one that you're like, oh, I love that. So that one's, it's an incense note. You'll see how little of the citrus I added. But when you first smell it, they're going to be very strong because those are the top notes. They come up really strong.
Right, that makes sense.
And then they just dry down, you'll see. Okay.
I'm excited.
Ready? Smells really good.
Oh my gosh, I think I'm in love. Take the time to realize the effect that smell can really have on your life. Go outside and appreciate this wonderful gift that we've been given. Wake up and smell your coffee. Smell the roses in the garden. Smell the ocean breeze. And perhaps you will experience a joy that you didn't know could be so easily accessed before. Thank you so much for tuning in with us today. And a bolder-sized thank you to Sarah Horowitz for helping out with this episode and really enlightening us all on the art of fragrance. Be sure to check her out in the links below, and don't forget to leave a big thumbs up, comments, and of course, click here to subscribe to stay tuned for more upcoming videos. I've been your rockin' host, Doc Rock. You've been prescribed. Rock out with your clock out.